So the Orphans Tier Ministry of Heaven's Family was started on this street right here in Myanmar in 2002. The founder of Heaven's Family came to Myanmar for a pastor's conference and was introduced to an orphanage that had about 50 children.
God bless you. Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay. God bless you, thank you. Oh, thank you.
All these beautiful kids were lined up to greet me, and I was told by my interpreter, they're all orphans.
Clifford, now all of these children, these are all orphan children, huh?
Really orphans?
All orphans.
Oh, no support.
Seeing their needs, he knew he needed to do something to help them. So he started the Orphans Tier Ministry.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can help a little bit here to make a difference, okay?
So the Orphans Tier Ministry set up a child sponsorship program, and we sent the sponsors donations to the orphanages to take care of the children's physical and educational needs.
We set up a website, put all these kids' faces on it, and looked for sponsors, and it took off. Within a couple years, we had about 1,000 children sponsored there in Myanmar.
We also helped build campuses like this one.
So we built orphanage dorms for them, we bought them rice paddies, we bought them oxen, chickens, pigs, all kind of things to help them sustain themselves. And yeah, we really met their physical needs.
But as we got more involved and began learning the children's histories and stories, we learned that they weren't orphans.
They weren't orphans. We found out most of these kids had parents, at least one parent that was still alive. And so we began to investigate to try to figure out where these children were coming from and why they were winding up at orphanages.
So most of the children in the orphanages were coming from very poor villages in these mountains.
These villages where the children come from are some of the most underdeveloped places I've ever been to on Earth. They're deep in the mountains, cut off from the modern world. You can't get to them by car. Many of them you have to walk on narrow footpaths, up and down mountainsides, or take a motorcycle. There's no electricity, there's no running water, there's no medicine available for them. They are dirt poor. The people are subsistence farmers. They live on what they grow on the sides of those mountains, and they're just barely surviving. When it comes to education for the children, it doesn't exist, or if it does exist, it's very substandard.
Unless you come from a larger village, it's unlikely there will be a school teaching beyond grade 7.
They need to go to middle school and high school in another village or another town, so they have to pay for many things, school fee as well as accommodation, food, or everything, so family cannot support about that.
The parents want the best for their kids, but they don't know how to provide for that. They think sending them to an orphanage where they can get an education, pass their exams and get a job with the government, that is their mindset.
Orphanage is very popular here in Myanmar, so they thought that orphanage is the best for their children or their grandchildren.
What actually happens though, many children feel rejected by their parents. They don't understand that they're being sent away for their good, as in the eyes of their parents. So they feel a whole lot of rejection.
The reason these children believe they're not in families is because they think they're not worth loving. And that results in them growing up with an inferiority complex that they carry the rest of their lives.
The orphanage director cannot give intimacy relationship with each of the children.
A lot of times the children's emotional needs remain unmet because they are unable to get close to the caregiver, usually because of the sheer number of children in the home. They're one of many, so those needs remain unmet largely.
If the child feels that he doesn't get love, his whole life has been damaged.
Some children withdraw into themselves. They don't communicate with others well. They're often reticent. They just shut down. Other children act differently. They will be unruly, they'll be difficult, they'll be violent.
We send the children to a good school, but he cannot learn because of emotional pain, psychological, as well as brain development is very, very slow. Because of there is no love, There's no intimacy.
Research has shown that brain development is affected when children don't have that nurturing from a parent, mother-father figure. So consequently, their development is affected. The longer they live there, the worse that development is affected. Long term, this will affect their ability to learn, to absorb information, to share their emotions, to even understand their emotions. Often when they leave, they're unprepared for the outside world. They don't know how to cook, they don't know how to clean, they don't know the value of money, so they're often exposed to unscrupulous people who might want to take advantage of that.
They usually don't know how to be a good husband or wife because it was never modeled in front of them as they were growing up. And if and when they do get married themselves, they don't know how to love and show affection to their own kids because they never received that themselves.
Many children that leave are at risk of being trafficked overseas because they're very trusting, or they're either not trusting at all and they don't trust anybody.
It took us a few years to learn this from our own experiences and from consulting with professionals, but basically, we knew that we could not, in a good conscience, continue to support orphanages because they're often doing more harm than good to the children.
We were greatly influenced by Mick Pease, founder of Substitute Families for Abandoned Children.
So one of the first things we started doing was prevention and awareness raising in the villages where the children come from.
We're able to talk to parents and village leaders about the harm that orphanages can have on their children and how families are superior.
Do many families send their children to orphanages in Calais or Windap or Yangon?
We're also able to hear what their needs are so that we can start to work with them to prevent children being sent to orphanages.
To help the children already in the orphanages, in 2015, we partnered with Australian Christian Churches International Relief and set up a program to move children out of orphanages and back into families. ACCIR brought their experience in reintegration, and the Orphans Tear Ministry brought our experience and contacts here in Myanmar. We were able to convince many of the orphanages that we supported to join the program. We hired these social workers, and we started working on the cases of the individual children. The social workers follow a very thorough 22-step process for each individual child.
Before any children leave, their situations need to be assessed because we don't want them to leave what's generally a safe situation to go into an unsafe situation. So the social workers need to do detailed assessments of the children.
The goal of this program is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and to see children safely reintegrated back with their family of origin.
If that's their birth parents, that's the best case. But if during the assessment phase that's deemed not possible or it's unsafe for the child, we'll seek to find an alternative. And we usually look at uncles, aunts, grandparents, older siblings. That's where we go first. And if not, then a suitable foster family.
Then still monitoring need to be done because of monitoring is really important because of we do not know after we left something can happen.
Usually 3 to 6 months after the children have gone home, it's still like a honeymoon period and it's all been going well up to then. But after that, that's when often there's problems arise because the children aren't used to the family and the family aren't used to having the child back.
Then when we make sure that after 2 or 3 years that it is safe, then we close the case.
And since 2015, this team has been very successful at placing children into families, and they're continuing to work on more and more cases. No one knows the exact number, but here in Myanmar there are thousands of orphanages with tens of thousands of children in them and tens of thousands more children at risk of being sent to these orphanages. But the situation here in Myanmar is not in any way unique. Around the world, 80% of the children who live in orphanages have families. War, poverty, discrimination, family breakups, and numerous other things cause children to be sent to orphanages where they don't have their needs adequately met and where they're at risk of being exploited and abused. The mission of the Orphans Tear Ministry is that every single child live in a safe and loving family. and we fully believe that this is what God intended. So we have our work cut out for us, and I hope that you'll join us. Thank you.